Game week 4 in FPL is approaching, so I'm going to have a look at how I got on in game week 3, the changes I'm planning for this week, and any potential transfers I'm considering in the future. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so in terms of game week 3, I got 57 points, so 13 points higher than the average. Pretty pleased with that score. Done much better in game week 3 than I did in game week 2. Pickford's just carried on being Pickford. He's not been the cheap, good pick that I was hoping he'd be. I was expecting Dyche to sort of tighten up Everton a little bit, but no, clean sheets are still eluding him. Chilwell had a good game week. He got 6 points, so that was for a clean sheet. No attacking returns, but very happy with the 6 points. Henry, unfortunately, didn't get a clean sheet. That was 1-0 against Crystal Palace. And Estupiñán, of course, was part of the surprise 3-1 thrashing by West Ham. No returns for him, no clean sheet. The midfield, though, I'm very happy with. Diaby paid off nicely. He got a goal and assist in Villa's 3-1 win against Burnley. Really happy with him. Only 9.2% percentage owned. Price rise for him, nice differential. Easy, unfortunately, still hasn't had any returns. It's a real shame. He's looked brilliant in highlights and he played really well in the cup midweek. But he is the one that's given me something to think about at the moment, so we'll chat about him shortly. Mo Salah stayed consistent. He got 5 points once again for the 3rd week in a row for his assist for Darwin Núñez's 2nd goal. He's a bit of a difficult one for me. He is consistently returning, but obviously he does have a high price tag. That said, a lot of other midfielders aren't that expensive, so at the moment I'm not feeling too much pressure to move him on and spread that money elsewhere. Maddison had a brilliant week. 10 points for the goal he scored and bonus points in the 2-0 win away at Bournemouth. And Saka also scored as well in the 2-2 draw against Fulham. I was planning to play Akanji. Sadly, he missed out on the squad through injury. So João Pedro came in. Again, he only came on for 30 minutes. Didn't manage to do anything against West Ham. So yeah, not great with him. Haaland, though, obviously he scored. I had him as captain, so I got 8 points for him. I'm feeling pretty good about game week 3. It was an improvement over last week. My transfer to bring Akanji in didn't pay off. I thought he was nailed given that he started all 4 games this season, including the Community Shield and the Super Cup. But it says that he missed out through illness, so I'm hoping that he will play for game week 4. Right, so let's have a look at my team for this week. So throughout this week, I've been considering where I could make changes, and I think there are sort of 3 key spots. First of all, it's goalkeeper. Pickford, as I said, hasn't been able to keep a clean sheet. The experiment hasn't really paid off, so he is a player that I'll be thinking about moving on. But he does have Sheffield United this week, and that's a game Everton just have to pick up points in. So he is getting another week in the team. Turner obviously has Chelsea. I didn't feel that I needed to immediately move on Pickford before the international break. The second place I was considering was a defensive change. Akanji at the moment has got a warning against him, but I have only just brought him into the team. If it is an illness that he missed out on, I would expect him to return to the team for Fulham's. So I'm going to give him another week and assess from there. I'm very happy with my midfield at the moment. Despite the fact that Easy hasn't returned, he does have some good fixtures coming up. So for me, I need to give him another week or 2 before I can really start to think about moving him on. Good fixtures for the rest, so no changes there. So that brings me to the 3rd and final place I was considering making a transfer, and it's exactly where I have made a transfer, and that's for strikers. Now, the obvious striker for me to have moved on was João Pedro. He's a real minutes risk at the moment. He's not doing much off the bench, and he is a player that I'm looking to move on. But there are a couple of reasons that I didn't. Firstly, in terms of replacements, I'm not too excited by many strikers at the moment. I don't think there's that many certified options right now. Obviously, you've got the likes of Jackson, Watkins, but neither are in sort of rich scoring form. Chelsea obviously have that great run coming up, but I'm not that convinced by Jackson just yet. So that sort of ruled out any changes there. So the transfer I did end up making was transferring out Mabama for Archer. Mabama hasn't played any minutes for West Ham so far, so in terms of a bench option, he's pretty redundant. A lot of people are starting to transfer him out, so it's looking like he is going to fall in price soon. So I wanted to protect the value in my squad a little bit. Cameron Archer's obviously just signed for Sheffield United. He went straight into the team in the Carabao Cup on Wednesday night, and they've got Everton coming up next. So he's good cover. I'd be surprised if there's a situation where I'm playing him often. But for 4.5 million, a nailed-on striker is a good experiment to have. That very likely means that for my next transfer, I would probably be planning to move Pedro on. But of course, if there are any big changes, let's say Salah does depart before the end of the window, Akanji doesn't play or there's an injury, I can keep him sitting on my bench for a little while, and that shouldn't cause me too many problems. So lastly, I thought I'd just do a very quick look at some players that are on my watch list at the moment. So for goalkeepers, we've currently got Vicario, Areola and Henderson. Vicario's kept 2 clean sheets in a row. Arsenal and Liverpool in the next 4, so I'd probably be unlikely to make a move for him there. but a really good run after that. Arieli's been getting some good points despite not keeping a clean sheet. He's getting a lot of saves. Again, City and Liverpool in the next 3, not likely to touch him, but could be considering him for that sort of game week 9 onwards. The last goalkeeper is Dean Henderson. Obviously, he's signing for Crystal Palace. I would assume he's going there on a permanent on the basis that he will be number 1. Really good value at 4.5 million. We know he makes lots of saves, so definitely one for me to keep an eye on. Defenders, we've got Matty Cash, Anderson and Udogie. Cash obviously has elevated his score massively with the 2 goals that he scored against Burnley. After Liverpool, a really great run coming up for Villa, so he's one to keep an eye on. Anderson's another, 1 clean sheet and 3 so far, not a bad run coming up. And Udogie, again, Spurs have had 2 clean sheets in a row and some not bad fixtures from game week 8 onwards. So if that defence is still looking solid, then I could have a look at him. In midfield, of course, Mbeumo is someone that everyone is looking at. Likewise, Raheem Sterling after last weekend. A third that I'm considering is Anthony Gordon. Mbeumo obviously didn't return over the weekend, but he started with 2 goals and an assist in 3 games. He's going to continue to be that talisman for Brentford, so if I do start to look at moving someone like Easy on, then he's going to be a good replacement. Sterling's someone that I'm sort of loosely keeping an eye on. I personally don't feel convinced that I'd want to rush him into my team. Chelsea did only play Luton last weekend. He has looked good in the first 3 games and he's getting into the box a lot. He's playing a lot more direct. He talked about the changes that Pochettino has made to his play. I do think some of these games are trickier than people initially think though. Games like Forest, Villa, Fulham, I think these are teams that are going to give him a game. Anthony Gordon, he's got 2 goals in 3 for Newcastle. Some pretty good fixtures coming up until game week 11. The watch out is obviously for when the Champions League starts in September. But again, a nice cheap option in midfield. Lastly, forwards, Wissa is on my mind for the same reasons as Mbeumo. I still want to see a little bit more of him in the coming weeks just to see if it's a purple patch or not. But yeah, a nice, cheap, solid option there. And then the player that I really can't stop thinking about getting in is Darwin Núñez. Obviously, he looked brilliant coming off the bench, scoring 2 goals in 13 minutes for Newcastle. But I was really impressed in the highlights. You see the runs that he was making in behind. Just looked like a different player. Obviously, it's only 13 minutes. He's only played 41 minutes in 3 games so far. He did look like a beast against Newcastle. They got great fixtures coming up. If he doesn't get a start against Villa, I'd be very shocked. So he's one I'll definitely be keeping an eye on. If Klopp suggests that he is starting, there is a small possibility I could take a -4 and get Pedro out now and bring Darwin in for the weekend. So watch this space. Right, so that wraps up my Game Week 4 team. What transfers are you planning for this week? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Anything you're considering, I'll answer everything. And if you've enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. And I'll catch you next time. Cheers.